Okay, it looks like we have this live on YouTube and not quite 7 o'clock, so we'll give it a few minutes. Okay. Bear with me while we give it a couple minutes while people join in. And I'm just trying to real quick update myself on what I'm looking at. All right, we have about 2 minutes after. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. I'm going to open up our little disclaimer as I always do. There it is. I know as we usually start our meetings, I want to welcome everybody who's with us here tonight and also anybody who's watching later on YouTube. All of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior in any way. My name's Scott Weldon. I'm the director of Lowcountry NORML, and thank you all for joining me. It's been an interesting week, I, to say the least. And I didn't send out any particular links or anything for people to look at this week. I thought we'd just sort of openly discuss a little bit about what we've seen or what the results have been from our understandings of it and what it kind of means to um, the legislative process and to our hopes for cannabis legislation. Oh, we got somebody else coming in. There we go. Um, oh, that last window opened up, not the one I wanted to look at. State level results. Where are they? Oh, I had them earlier. I don't think I have them in front of me now. Was this it? Give me 1 second, folks. No, everything I'm popping up on Google at the moment is showing me federal level Senate results. Um, I thought we'd talk a little bit about the results of the election, and some people are happy, some people not. what it means, at least as far as my view on some of this for, and some I'm sharing, of course, from National's perspective, um, on what that means to moving legislation forward for cannabis. And when I talk about cannabis, as many of you know, it's really a lot of other things that surround cannabis. It's civil asset forfeiture law. It is uh, for-profit prisons that I like to address. It's a lot of things that it's not just, hey, people want access to cannabis. Uh, uh, there's also then on the other side as well, the safe access aspect. People want regulations so that they know that the product they're getting is free of pesticides or adulterants of some sort. Um, and those are all part of what we at Normal try to look at, is all the aspects that are beneficial to the citizen, um, because that's what we fight for, is the citizens' rights uh, aspect of it. With that said, I had um, posted my one on my personal page. I'll call it somewhat political comment to the announcement of the president elect. And it was actually a picture of me with a cardboard cutout of our current president doing the thumbs up, that I was got in the shop down in Market Street, um, before he was actually president. It may have been during the elections last time. We were just kind of out shopping, saw him standing there. I'm like, "Oh, honey, honey, get my picture with Trumpy." Um, and So I posted that. I think I got one comment from one of my staunch Republican friends up in Pennsylvania, and he said, uh, "Well, you're not going to see your legal weed now." And I'm like, "Well, you're probably right, because we still have to deal with if, um, geez, I was going to say, with Mitch McConnell still the Senate Majority Leader, blocking how many different bills that are sitting on his desk. I think the number's over 300, closer to four. Um, and I was doing just a little bit of looking into that a few minutes ago, and there are some runoff races, I believe, in Georgia, which may put the Senate at basically a 50-50 number, which is, um, now the numbers I found confused me. Let me see if I can find these again. Um, Senate. That's the one I want. Okay. I'm going to share this Google find here real quick on screen. Okay. It's my understanding there are 100 seats in the Senate, so I'm not quite understanding why uh, the total of 48, 46, and two, plus two that are unrepresented at this point, because I guess they're undecided seats. Um, that's 98 when you add those three together. So I'm not sure where the other two seats have gone to. Uh, I don't know. But the way that our legislature works is, if these two tie and the Democrats get 48, and then if the Democrats win the presidential seat, the vice president gets the final vote in the Senate. So that would give the Democrats the majority in the Senate, and that would give the ability to start moving some of those bills forward that have been blocked by the gatekeepers uh, at that level. We don't know what's going to happen with those races. I don't know. I haven't really followed them a whole lot. So we'll see what happens when those runoff races come along. And that's kind of an important question for federal level legislation because we've talked about this a number of times when we've been on. Let's stop the share there for a moment. Um, that there are these bills that are pro cannabis that are sort of hung up in committees or hung up in um, moving forward through a vote in the Senate because the people that have the majority control the not only what gets voted on, what doesn't at the floor level, but also at the committee level. And they take the precedent, they become the chairs in those committees of the Senate, or in so they'll decide as the Senate what moves forward, or as a committee, what moves forward within their committee before it even gets a chance to get a vote on the floor. And we've seen that with the decrim bills that have come up in the past. They go to committee and they just sit there. Um, uh, that's at our state level. Our state level, I don't know the numbers. I know I believe it is Republican control on both the House and the Senate floors. If anybody knows otherwise, please correct me. Like I say, every time I keep clicking in results, it's giving me federal level stuff. Um, uh, and that same thing applies at that level. Is if you're a member of the controlling party and you sponsor that legislation, you're more likely to get other members of either the House or Senate, whichever one you're in, to sign on as co-sponsors of your bill. And there's a way forward for those bills possibly to get out of committee and move across the floor. Um, we'll see how that happens, moving forward at the state level again this year, because that's kind of one of my few hopes is to be able to help support, publicize, and communicate about any of the decrim bills, any of the um, civil asset forfeiture reform bills, that kind of stuff, as well as the medical. And we'll see where the new bill goes with some of the things that we've talked about. See if any of the things that we've talked about in the past have been changed, or if they're going to be a rubber stamp of previous bills. Um, at South Carolina level, I mean, I was definitely hoping that Cunningham would stay where he was because he was at least a little bit more understanding. In my opinion, and again, this is my opinion on the cannabis side of it. The responses I've kind of gotten from Nancy Mace were a little more, yeah, I support if it's end of life, your final year. Otherwise, lock them up. Is the feeling I get from it. It's not what she said. So please don't quote me on that as saying as something she said. Um, and of course, we know Lindsey Graham won his race, and I've mentioned again articles that talk about him and McConnell and Mike Crapo as being kind of the three horsemen of the apocalypse of blocking any Democratic sponsored legislation at the federal level. And we haven't seen, at least not that I'm aware of, a lot of Republican sponsored legislation at the federal level. So um, I don't know. It seems like we've kind of taken a step backwards in my hopes for moving any cannabis legislation forward in South Carolina, including including the medical bills. I see a challenge with them. Um, anybody's thoughts or opinions on that with the movement of a legislature? I think it was at state level. Um, we had and on the Senate side, 3 seats that were blue turned red, and on the House side, 2 of them were blue turned red. So we've gained um, in both the House and the Senate on the controlling party. Any thoughts on that? I'm not hearing anybody, but I don't know if anybody's. Nope, nobody's unmuted yet. Um,
Hey, this is Mike. I think our biggest chance is going to be is the federal with, I think with 5 states approving it with this election. I think that with, Vice President being the sponsor for the MORE Act, I think we're likely to see at least medical coming this next year or so. Even in the Defense Appropriations Act, there's, you know, uh, Gabbard, or not Gabbard, yeah, the representative from Hawaii, she's got an amendment that she tacked in there.
I want to say Gifford, but that's
Yeah,
not the one.
yeah, it's not Gifford.
Um,
But anyways,
Gabbard, Tulsi
that's fine.
Gabbard, correct? Tulsi Gabbard.
That sounds right.
Okay. Um, yeah, well, and that was kind of what the Nationals shifted to at the moment is okay, now it's been 51 days since you postponed the vote for the MORE Act. Let's move forward on that, which is a post I shared a little bit earlier, and something that we're going to want to try and push forward at the federal level. I do agree with you there. I think at the federal level, we may have a little bit better chance of moving it through the House, um, and we'll see what happens at the Senate. Um, because even if it passes the House, if things remain the way they have been, I don't see it getting voted on at the Senate level, and then it just sort of dies on McConnell's desk. Um, so we'll see how that part plays out at that level. I do agree with you that, and I'm hoping that with, as you mentioned, there's four passed for recreational, five for medical, or no, not five total, but there was some that passed for medical and recreational combination. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but four passed for recreational, I believe. Um,
Sounds right.
and
I think South Dakota was the only one that did both over 21 and medical.
and medical. Um, and you're right, that may again shifting the numbers on how many states have legalized medical, that may hopefully get some more of our legislators on both sides of the aisle to say, hey, it's not wreaking the fire and brimstone that has been predicted for all these decades. Let's go ahead and look at least a conservative medical marijuana program that isn't just end of life, um, that can help people today. Uh, I don't know if we could really work on if it would work as well here as it did in Virginia when they really kind of ramped up their let doctors decide. It should be the decision of the patient, or if it's a child, the patient's custodian and their medical professionals. Really, it should not be. Our politicians should not be legislating our health care as far as what we're putting in our bodies and what we're doing to try and take care of ourselves. And I'm hoping with uh, more states passing at all levels, that they start to say, hey, maybe it's time. Maybe we don't mind being last, but let's start moving forward. uh, I want to, again, I think with that kind of thought in mind, move forward with the thought of getting some of those books out that do talk about some of the medical aspects. Uh, I did I did love the idea of trying to round out the information between 2017 and 2019. See if we can flush that out with maybe some links in a letter to them or something like that. Um, has there been any more thought or chance to look into that? I know Michael and
It
who
was
else was
Suzanne, but
with
I
us?
never.
Suzanne. Suzanne's not on with us tonight. Okay. We're mentioning, go ahead, Michael. Go ahead. You can kind of,
Yeah,
you're not
so I was hoping that Suzanne and I could get linked up, but I think Jill's got her information. But I think if we could get a number of us together to like you said, round off the last couple of years since 2018 on has been tremendous for the cannabis in the research and medicine capabilities. So
Um, okay, because yeah, I want to try and move forward in some manner or to another. Um, I know, especially with the now new freshman legislators in our area, I'm going to probably try and target them personally myself. I'll dig up some funding for that and see how many of them we can just get the book in their hands, and like I say, try to give them some more information on what is currently going on in research for medical purposes. Um, Otherwise, I'm kind of still of the belief that the way to move forward is to do the local decriminalization. If we get enough small towns or big towns or towns to say, "Hey, look, it's worth it to decriminalize. It's not worth it to be putting people in prison for small possession of cannabis." And I know that our past sheriff has, well, our incumbent sheriff, should I say, in Charleston County here, had back, I believe it was December 19, de-emphasized and has de-emphasized, I think, over the past couple of years, um, arrest for simple possession of cannabis. It's also my understanding it was more just because there was so much overcrowding of the prisons, and they needed to figure a good way to get that under control. And to me, that just is a side commentary on why were they so full in the first place if it wasn't for arrest for simple cannabis possession. Um, and we believe that they'll continue changes like that with the new sheriff elect. I guess we'll see. um, I'd really rather see it legislated. Let's get an ordinance. Let's go ahead and do it officially through city council, through county. Boy, wouldn't that be great to actually have something where they say, we're going to put this on the local ballot and then we're going to let the voters decide um, to decriminalize for simple possession less than an ounce. Of course, we push the no fine, no crime, no court cost model, um, and try and like take the monetary portion out of it. Um, and we'll see what happens there. I think, I don't want to quote the numbers on this because I think it's higher than what I'm going to mention of 22 different, I don't know if it's counties now in Pennsylvania have decriminalized or had decriminalized, and that's what's kind of pushing forward a lot of the recreational up there as well, because they've already gone that step to decriminalize simple possession. Um, and don't know from there. Again, we're going to highlight all the other bills as best we can this coming legislature, the next 2 years in South Carolina, um, because that's where really my concern is things may or may not trickle down from federal level. Really, changing things at federal level doesn't mean that state laws have changed. You still have to get those either amended or rescinded or new laws to replace them. Um, and I don't know if South Carolina would do that. I don't. Um, any thoughts on that from you all out there? All right. Well, I know a lot of what I'm talking about is kind of opinion tonight. I don't really have any information on what legislation is going to be proposed as we get to January 12th of 2021, and or thereabouts. See what happens. We'll keep you posted on all that. We will start in the next Where are we? November 8th. As I mentioned, after the elections, we're going to get going and start promoting our um, petition program. And I'll let you know about that in the next week or two and see where we are with it. Otherwise, I don't have a whole lot to talk about. The politics is what it is. Um, it's going to be a little more challenging for us, and uh, we can hope that our legislators here in South Carolina will see the benefits of cannabis both medically and to the state's budget and to the civil rights of the people of our state and see what happens. Um, trying to plug away, folks. Last but not least, I see we're at November. We are a couple of weeks away as far as this is kind of a normal plug um, from the Thanksgiving holiday and the kind of kickoff to the holiday shopping season. Uh, we are going to be, we have actually updated our website with the 2021 memberships for our annual membership dues. Um, but keep an eye out. We'll probably have a small token bonus to send along for early subscribers. And we'll keep you posted on that. Otherwise, look for next weekend. You should be getting our annual newsletter. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, you can go to our website at normalsc.org. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there should be a link down there that says sign up for the newsletter. Also, excuse me, a couple days after that, I don't have my calendar open here. The Tuesday after next weekend will be our next normal meeting at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, the 17th. So we'll talk about our local chapter business. Probably beg a little bit more for some folks that want to get into the administrative aspect of it and get onto our board. And the other stuff that we talk about at local chapters is usually kind of, at least lately, what are we going to do to try and get out and about and really engage the public? Um, it's one thing to do it from a keyboard and on social media, but it's really kind of a challenge at this point with the COVID restrictions to get out and about. Anyway, that's all I have for you this evening. I'm going to kind of cut you loose. Um, okay. I did get a message from someone mentioning that they're talking about the appointment of the Attorney General. They believe is important. Yes, yes, both at the state and the federal level. Uh, and that is something that we'll have to see what happens with a lot of the different appointments are going to. But yeah, as far as what happens with law enforcement throughout our nation, I think who's appointed by the Attorney General will have a lot of input. All right, that's it for me tonight. Again, Lowcountry Normal's website is normalsc.org. You can email us at lowcountrynormal@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to sign up at our YouTube channel. If you missed our meetings, you can always see them there. Thank you for joining me. We'll be back next week. I've already kind of ended, but I'm going to stop and ask a real quick question. Um, Looking for topics and stuff like that to talk about, and I am a board game collector of marijuana themed board games. Would any of you be interested in having me just talk about my board games some night? I probably have about 40 of them spanning from 1967 to a lot more recently. Um, Yes, no, maybe. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Yes, no on the clicky buttons on the side. I'm seeing one thumbs up. I like that. We'll probably see about put one of those on the schedule for one of our chats one night, and I'll kind of give you a brief overview. Um, Brief, he says. I rarely do that. All right. That's the end of that conversation for now. Again, thank you for joining me. We will be back next Sunday.